A'udhu billahi shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. May God protect us from the cursed one, from ignorance. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. All right. Hello, everyone. I wanted to let me start gently. I have made an observation, and I would like to present this observation to the species, to my species, and to provide insight into something that has value, but many human beings may not consider it. Oh my God. That was Gatorade, guys. I'm drinking Gatorade. Honestly, I gotta be cheerful for this episode. Okay, so there is a hidden beauty to loving life, to loving this. There is a value, and this value needs to be realized. I've noticed something in my own psyche. Sorry guys, it's just difficult to find the song. Alright, let me settle down. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay. I want to speak about hidden beauty. I want to speak about that which human beings find beautiful, and how much does the beautiful affect the human being, and what sort of hidden moment can this human being be talking about? You see, I have come to the realization that we have relationships. Let me actually get rid of the music for a moment. See, I 100% feel I could have been more of a romantic so far in my life. But as a human being, I have observations of imperfections and observations of the perfect. Now, what does it mean that a moment is perfect? I think the idea of beauty comes very close to this. I want to tell you my own story as a human being that's been here 33 years. You see, earlier in life, reality seemed like a information game. It was about information processing. It was about what data you had. It was about how far, I mean, it still is a little bit, like about how far you see, how far you understand. And pretty much you're an organism that has the ability to see things happen in different ways, even better ways. And so far in this life, many different ways have come about. You see, what I'm trying to say is that in this lifetime of mine, the focus was on understanding, was first knowing reality. Okay? So it was about knowing life, having knowledge, knowing the secret truth behind it. So you actually, at least I actually went towards knowing first, knowing reality. Then I realized knowing is very closely interlinked with understanding, because anybody can know something, but if you've understood it, you can use it. So reality shifted from just knowing what it is to how can I use the knowledge of it. Okay? So it made me question, like, okay, what is true understanding? And this whole time we have the idea of wisdom as well. So I want you to think that I'm like this human being, open my eyes in this world, was like, okay, let's get to know this place. As I got to know this place, I realized the greater game is not the accumulation of knowledge, it is understanding reality. That means somebody who has an understanding of something. When you've understood something, you have comfort and you have some sort of control over it. What I'm trying to say is, it occurred to me that it's not about just data collection or collecting the right information. It's about understanding what's going on, and what's going on is an intelligent movement. It's an event. It's an activity. Okay? And it's something that is it's not just enough to see verbs and nouns to the moment. So it went from seeking knowledge, trying to get accurate information of reality, to being like, okay, we're obviously here for a little while. What sort of information can I collect that's going to be like the finale? Right? So I'm pretty much telling you, it shifted. I reached a point where I could look at life as a scholar. Okay? I might not be recognized, but I have looked at this reality in a scholarly sense. Okay? I've looked at the epistemology of it. I've looked at what is being, the ontology of it, what is truth. And something occurred to me that if this reality was like some machine where you had to type in the special code, the code wasn't just intellectual processing, information processing. And this is where, in this life, it took me 33 years to reach this. But I finally understand why love is important. Not why it's important, why it ends up becoming the conclusion. You see, you're not in a perfect system. If you were in a perfect system right now, okay, then there would be no problems, there would be no complaints. It would just be efficiency. And to be honest, an efficient system does not need communication. We communicate because there's unknown variables and factors. The miscommunication is honestly a blessing. I have a love and hate relationship with language. I believe from one angle it's a system that's enslaving us. From another angle, it's a blessing. So what I'm trying to tell you is I thought it's something to just calculate, but no. Life is, this is what I don't think they say about it, but what it's like. You see, when you're young, you don't notice the imperfections of reality. The ego is actually centered around its perfection. Do you understand? That means the young human has a model on reality that they are so convinced of, but it's an untested model. As you go through in this life, you begin to notice there are moments that intelligence doesn't necessarily have the greatest value. Being witty in a situation compared to being loving is completely different responses. Now, to love the human species is a very difficult thing. I mean, we have more reasons to hate each other. We have more reasons to be savage, to consider ourselves animalistic, to actually be pessimists when it comes to this. But there is something about a human being when he comes into the presence of a higher power that you begin to understand the limits of your control. See, when you're young, you're working with your own ego code, your own interface, subjective interface. There's a lot of possibility. But it's kind of like a sword that hasn't been hammered and straightened out in accordance to being parallel to the electromagnetic field. You see, human beings are not designed to be alone. They're designed to be involved in some sort of interaction, intelligent interaction. What I'm trying to say is that if you take the path of intellect, you actually end up becoming disappointed. Because reasonably we could be doing so many things better. But when you actually shift and you realize that your perception is limited, you kind of step outside of yourself and you begin looking at this life and you begin to see it's just some system. It's just something that's happening and it's going through based on decisions. And there is so many nodes in this system. That means it's like there's one thing trying to be smart here. It's another thing wondering about all the different angles that are possible. Okay? I'm pretty much telling you, it's like, think of me as an inner realm mountain climber. I climbed this mountain, the mountain of intellect. And the issue was you have to climb down, and this is the point I'm getting to, because it's imperfect. Do you understand? So there's many situations in my life where my ego has entered the situation, has seen how it should play out, has wanted the moment to play out. But thanks to God or some force in the background, my turn was my ego wasn't allowed to go forth in the moment, and the moment took a completely different shift. And the thing about life is, I think this happens to you after the age of 30 pretty much, you begin to realize all the nervousness and stress you felt your whole life in regards to dealing with the human species was with an imperfect species. Like this sounds kind of intense, but it's like if 8 billion human beings came and judged me, I'd be like, relax, guys, we're all imperfect here. Do you understand? So when you notice the imperfection, for example, you might be a person who's noticing your parents getting old, right? Or you might have already experienced this. But for me, I realize as the human being gets older, it doesn't freaking want like accurate calculations. It doesn't freaking want, like, what it wants is to be acknowledged, to be a part of something. It breaks my heart that there is a species here and there are humans feeling lonely in the world. I remember I heard something about Japan where I was like, holy shit. But it's probably worse out in the world. In Japan, 1 in 3 men dies alone, like trapped in a force field of like inability to communicate with the outer realm. To the degree that in Japan you can rent like a wife, you can rent family members, you can rent a sibling. Where I was like, holy shit, this is out of control. Okay. And I realized it's not the fault of individuals. You see, like, let's say we have the notion of lucky and unlucky. Somebody might right now come up to me and be like, yo man, I'm a son of a billionaire and trillionaire, and you know, I'm the luckiest person, I'm even royalty or something. I would be like, you're looking at the scales wrong. The common human being compares themselves to the current era. This whole new age community that says be here and now, guess what? You have been here and now. Everything is happening in the here and now. Spiritual people think like it's something new. The question is, why are you human? Why are you in a game of life? What's the point? Does being spiritual answer these? It's like, no, it's an excuse. Spirituality is like a luxury. Sometimes luxury can, you know, hide the truth. You tell me which one is more advanced. A human being that feels like they are the whole world, or a human being that is in the presence of higher power? I mean, come on. It's like there was some dude sitting by a tree. They asked him, who are you? The dude's like, I'm like this tree, man. I'm freaking nature. And then they're like, yo, man, but why aren't you a tree? Why are you human? What I'm trying to get to, like, tell you, is that, oh, human being, there's many games to play here. You might go the path of intellect and you might feel a cold-hearted precision in your daily dealings. But as you get older, you begin to see we're not here to be judged as machines of perfection to be applauded. It's like you look at a freaking flower in a garden. Some sort of value of expression, and you look at the human being and they're all expressing all over the place. To me, like, I was angry at humanity until it became funny what I'm angry at. You like, these creatures have advanced technology, but they don't have the common sense to realize they're all part of one species. They have advanced organizational systems, political systems, social systems, so many things. Yet they fail to understand they're all part of the same species. You know, I was seeing this interview by Muhammad Ali, and they asked Muhammad Ali, like the boxer, the great boxer, they asked him, what do you think about like women, like, wearing short skirts? It was like at a Tondro and all that, you know, men noticing like women's thighs for the first time. Like in mass media. They asked Muhammad Ali this, and Muhammad Ali said, in some sense, first of all, aside from the fact that as a man, you like your woman not to like show off herself to everybody, he mentioned the fact that there's a difference between animals. For example, he was saying, Muhammad Ali was saying this. He was saying, like, you look at freaking cows, you look at horses, like, yeah, they're showing their bare, like, body, naked body. But the thing about human beings is that we've ushered forth an era of civility because of our ability to have a psychologically subjective landscape overlaid upon reality. What I'm trying to say is that as you grow in this life, you journey through this life, you begin to see that journeys have a toll on people. And so I don't know why, at least as one human being, age 33, I've felt this transformation where more than it's exciting to show off the intellect. I don't know how to tell you this, but it's kind of like the analytical levels of life repeat, and you realize it's about caring for the actual living being that's here. It's caring for life. I'll give you an example. Somebody reading about love. Imagine books and books and books about love, right? And it's like the person's like, yo, man, I've read so much. I have so much knowledge, but what am I missing? And it's like the person was missing a hug. You understand? Because ultimately, I think people feel the hollowness of being a value to yourself. It's pretty much like, I'll give you the example. Like, imagine you see a wounded soldier in a battlefield. You're a soldier too. And you see this soldier is freaking out, scared, like asking for help. And it is possible to save that soldier. But it is also possible, like, that's for that soldier to save themselves. Something in the human being is like, yo, man, I can get a greater outcome out of this moment. It's that feeling. I'm pretty much telling you, love replaces what before used to be a slashing zone, a slashing thing for your intellect. I'm telling you, I as a human being on this planet, your intelligence is really based on your attention to the moment, what's important in the moment. As a human being, I've had precise attention. Like, I've gone into situations where I've seen like the errors pop up. Okay, I've seen like they're making a mistake. I've seen like, okay, it doesn't add up, right? But it took me a while to realize that it's easy to break something. And when you look at humans, they're all building themselves up with value. Do you know what I'm saying? That means to me, intellectual precision has a value. But a heart that feels life is way superior. It's way superior. They'll be like, yeah, man. The guy's like, yeah, man, I did a PhD on, like, skydiving. And they'll be like, did you ever go skydiving? The person's like, no, man. Pretty much when you realize how fragile life is, you become loving. That's it. There is a power here. Do not be shy. Not only are you alive here once, but most of your insecurities have been a private show. O humanity, awaken to the majesty of what is in you, what you are in the presence of. Feel that you're not alone. Feel that your species is here. Feel your silly species. And feel the presence of your silly species in the presence of the unmistaken. Because one of the most beautiful things about the idea of God, a system admin, is that thank existence that there is something here that doesn't make mistakes. To me, that's the beautiful thing about God. It's unmistaken. That means as a human being, I can go and make many mistakes. I have made mistakes. I have killed myself to live. And I have lived witnessing the endings. And I can tell you honestly, it is frightening that it's just this, but it's also beautiful because of what it can be. That you are a being, you are a human, you are a soul. That you have an ability, a position, a role. You are an intelligence that there is nothing similar to on this earth. We cannot expect squirrels to contact the higher power. We cannot expect birds to contact the higher power. It is man with his frightening ability to notice that he's a character in somebody else's novel. What does it mean that there is a higher power here? What does it mean that there is a species in a world? What does it mean that we have a simulated opportunity to behave in a certain way for a certain time? What does it mean that it will all end? You guys are like, yo man, the podcast is tripping. But I'll be honest, I've been tripping for years. It's nothing new. That you think I have not been startled by this. You think existence has not scared me. The depth of this world has not only astonished me, it's put me into this weird lament. I don't know if you know what a lament is, but it's like this long-term sorrow. This world not only has reduced me, it has also reduced itself. But one value here cannot be reduced. What that means is I can be a fool. You, my fellow species members, you guys can all be fools too. And everything that exists in the world can be foolish. But the system admin smiles as if nothing in the world has touched it. Do you see? We are identifying, we are associating ourselves to a power that surpasses worldly form. And everything you know, every value system you have is based on worldly form. That means you're lucky that there is a higher power here. You're lucky that you're not alone in an empty room. You're lucky that you can notice that the heavens wait for us. That there's something more here. That it's like, okay, we're being tested. Okay, you can see it like a farm. You can see 8 billion entities simulated in a place to be tested for something. But when you go to look at actually what they're being tested on, And I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional because it was a startling moment. And for me, this came through Islam. You might not understand it. I was like this rogue spiritual podcaster, and then a mighty religion called me forth. And it wasn't the religion that called me forth. It was my powerlessness and seeing how many freaking mistakes that are in the future of the species. It's seeing a future where the organic is falling apart. It's seeing a future whereby the mind has gone too fast than a need for to have a need for a body. You don't understand what the future has prepared for us. The higher power is essential, because without the higher power, we are truly alone. And you might think that there is power in being alone. There's no power in it. The only power in being alone is to be able to look at why you're alone. And what does that mean, you're alone? It doesn't mean like somebody's hugging you. It means that what are you associating with? That means at the core of your being, what are you a value of? What are you automatically a part of? By being conscious, you're automatically part of a higher game. You have to notice a higher intelligence here. I told you I got emotional. Why? Because I reached a moment in this life where I opened the Holy Quran and it gave the answer and it gave me goosebumps and I started weeping. You don't understand. Your soul can weep without your eyes tearing. Souls can miss their source too. But it all comes down to the opportunity that's given. It's like, holy shit, King Arthur already pulled out Excalibur. Now what's he gonna do with it? All right, 8 billion human souls present in a simulation, wondering, and the purpose of it. In the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I created mankind and jinkind for the sole purpose of worshipping me. That means whatever entity that falls into this classification, feel the shame of not noticing what you have been made for. You see, the clue has been given in the source code. One human being shall say it. Human souls are here to notice the higher power. That is your purpose. But the higher power, it is not your ideas. It is not somebody else speaking to you. It is your own heart feeling how lost it is, and feeling that how do I say it? It's like the treasure you seek is past the mountain of yourself you climb. Do you understand? You notice imperfections. Okay, you notice imperfections, like it's like you see a human being and you see that human being grow old and you see the ability change, and you look at your species. Oh my God, 8 billion of us here. So you look at these 8 billion human beings and you're like, oh my God, all of them were young, all of them are going to be middle-aged, and all of them are going to grow old. We have been blessed with great humans and great messages. And now the world has come to you. You may have not been knighted in this world, but in this moment, a member of the human species will knight you into the human species. Acknowledge it. You are one of our champions. Do you know, right now I realize what I'm going to talk about in the future. I'm going to talk about championing human life. In what ways can we advance that we have not? What better versions and more advanced versions of you are waiting to be activated by you? I mean, think about it. A human being one evening wondered about the destiny of its species. This human being had already witnessed life and had been startled, astonished, shocked, sad, happy, had gone through the emotional wheel, and eventually understood that if we don't care, it won't improve. And so it has to begin one by one. May it be said that in 2025 there was a human being that cheered on the human legacy, noticed what it was in the presence of. Oh, future generations, do not even fear your own future. When you really look at life in a deeper way, it's not about anymore a human being succeeding like based on the normal human story they tell you. It's about realizing the divine attributes. It's about realizing that there are clues all over the place. Guys, I need a quick breather. Back to this. All right, guys, let me take this somewhere. You thought you had to be smart, but in being smart, you noticed your cruelty. You noticed the cold-heartedness wasn't worth it. Your journey began again. You had to wonder about what value, what immediate signal the world needs from you. And the world, after you have, in some sense, processed the information, needs you to love it and believe in it. You know, I used to think that in religion they would say believe, and I was like, yo man, what do you want? You want me to believe something new? Little did I realize belief is where you are left when you have understanding. Do you know what that means? That means I have no clue if these 8 billion, if 8 billion human beings are gonna drop the ball. But I believe that one of your grandchildren, great-grandchildren of one of the speakers here, there will be many geniuses born in this world. They will see what we couldn't, because it will be their time and their moment. And so I'm pretty much telling you that, I don't know, I got this in my 30s, but you enter an era of appreciation. You begin to see the magnificent powers that kept you. And you notice your own fragility. Pretty much, it's way more valuable to love this system. In order to love it, you need to accept the imperfections of the system. This doesn't mean not doing your best, not advancing the system. It just means that you as a human being, you have a fundamental need. You have a core need to feel like your existence, your temporary energy that you are, is serving something bigger than you. And I'm telling you, culture doesn't satisfy. Pretty much life has become, for me, a moment of relationship with the higher power. That's the most important thing, to be honest. It's simply because as I grow older, I notice more about what I don't have control over. And when you look at this world, sure, you have your own game to play, your own journey to go, but aside from that, you can't ignore like what's gonna happen to all these people here. And so you wonder about, okay, what's the most important thing human beings can do and have done? And it's intelligent interaction. So you wonder about what is the most intelligent interaction a person has, a being has with their reality. This is very important because I firmly believe that royalty is not just in the domain of man. It's not just like kings and queens in history who were royalty. There is a royalty in awareness and closeness to the original power. So as I'm here right now, these are the games as a human being I'm playing. How do I deal with the original power to the simulation, watching the simulation, like being here? And how do I deal with like what's going to happen in the simulation, right? So pretty much as a human being, you're worried about what, like your journey in the simulation. Then you reach a point where you're like, after my journey finishes, what's going to happen to the journey of the human species? And then what's going to happen to the journey of the human species in the world? And what's going to happen to the journey of the world in the presence of a system admin beyond the world? For example, in Islam, it tells you that everything returns to God. Do you know what that means? That means everything in manifestation returns to the original state. Yet we, as simulated beings, conscious of our simulated formed state, that is the most, like how do I tell you, like the coolest thing you can do as a being on this planet is to interact like with a higher power that's beyond worldly form. So I'm not telling you to go talk to like some entity behind a curtain. I'm telling you, forget all the mods, go directly to the system admin. Acknowledge your inefficiency, your incompleteness, and that's how you establish a relationship with the system admin. In certain circles, they call this repentance, but pretty much what it is you as a human being reach a limitation in your life where there isn't an imaginable way through. In those moments, you begin to realize relying on your own power has led to a certain result. But when you realize your power is limited, that's when you start accessing a different type of earth, a different type of reality. For example, somebody could look at Superman and be jealous, and some wise person could look at Superman and be like, this poor soul has been given freedom to express himself in ways others can't, and it's going to be very difficult to try to see past your limitations if your ego is trying to be all-powerful at the same time. So I'm telling you that Superman's power was also his blind spot. Loving your source. I want you to think about this. This doesn't mean just like loving your parents. This means acknowledging that you are a sort of power. Believe it or not, like we can be as heartless as even considering you as a mechanism. I could look at the human species and see souls there of unknown capability and emotion, or I could just choose to see the external surface and be like, okay, 8 billion human organisms, what can they do? They can read, write, speak, and build. And drive. You see, human beings, we're multifaceted when it comes to observing a situation. We're doing it actually from multiple angles. Feel your moment. Feel this moment you're in right now. For a moment, just forget that you're listening to a podcaster. For a moment, just close your eyes and feel where you are. Feel how there are many things you don't know. Feel the edge of your knowledge. Feel your limitation. Feel right now that you can't fly into the sky. Feel right now you can't lift a car. Feel right now that you can only see certain spectrum. Feel the limits. That means as a shape, feel the edge of your shape. Then look deeply at your shape. What have you been designed for? You look at, for example, scissors, they've been designed for cutting. You look at a ruler, it's been designed for measuring. You look at a human being and it seems like it's been designed to interact with something and to communicate with something. We are, in the presence of all the other species on this earth, the most advanced communicating species in the solar system for now. So it is not too far-fetched to think that we're being tested in regards to what we notice is actually here, because the truth realigns you regardless of your ego code. That's how you know it's truth. It's changed you. Open your heart and feel what it's been missing. It's missing that simpler version of you that the self-obsessed ego never allows. Feel your simplicity. Feel how it's okay that you are a being. Feel, like, accept that it's okay you don't have all the answers. And rest for a little bit. This system is very overwhelming. The more you understand from it, the more like intense it is. But at the same time, there is a silver lining. And you know what I'm gonna say? That God is great even if man isn't. It's the top of the spectrum. It's as if they asked the kid, yo man, what do you want to be? The kid's like, I want to be Superman. And the verse is like, all right, this kid's stuck in the world. And they asked this kid, hey kid, what do you want to be? And the kid's like, it doesn't matter what I want to be. First of all, it's destined. Secondly, it matters what God wants. It matters that the Creator feel free to do anything with its creation, and that is love. You don't love God by loving an idea and acting like a robot. You love God by appreciating the magnificence in its creation, by seeing that your enemies are humans too, that they will represent the humanity of it all. That the most people, I could have enemy. I don't have enemies, but I'm saying if I had enemies in this world, I could not ignore how their great-grandchildren might go to school with my great-grandchildren. That means I have no idea that the people I am friends with, if my ancestors were not friendly to, you know? What I'm trying to tell you, we're helping the Creator create something amazing. And that takes away the bitterness of life. That I am in the presence of the Almighty. That right now all of us are. It's like there is a genius of all geniuses in the room, and human beings are like, nah man, I gotta do it my own way. There is a power in this system that knows the user. That you might not believe it, but the system admin knows you better than yourself and has logged everything. That means everything you've done in this life, good, bad, embarrassing, you gotta like accept it and choose that if the highest power, if the greatest power, the greatest might, that means I want you to imagine, close your eyes right now and imagine right beside you is standing the most important human being in 2025, like the most important leader. And your eyes are still closed, you're sitting on a chair, let's say, and you imagine beside you, like right beside you, as if your eyes are closed, if you open them it would be there, the greatest human, like, you know, in 2025 standing. Now I want you to close your eyes and envision like the most advanced futuristic human sitting beside you. Then I want you to, keep your eyes closed and now imagine what it would feel like if right beside you was an advanced AI like robot that was similar to human. And then I want you to feel eventually building you up to the moment that imagine you closed your eyes and an alien was like beside you. Okay, that's some kind of intelligence, right? And I'm pretty much taking you over the spectrum of if you closed your eyes and wondered what could be the most advanced thing in the moment, you would come to the conclusion that the most advanced, based on what's in the system, is that which created the system. The answer is very simple. The system is saying, I am not your creator. The world is telling us it didn't create us. We don't realize it. Maybe when we get old, we do. There is a hidden beauty to loving life rather than just being in an ideological relationship with it. Give yourself this privilege. Thank you for listening. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. The system admin is here. This species has to acknowledge and learn to live and build an advanced civilization in the presence of this higher power. Rabbi Ighfirli, may God forgive us for the mistakes that we know we make. Sorry. and the mistakes that we don't know we make. Very sorry. But ultimately, just to care for the original source of this simulation has value. Thank you for listening. Good night.